You do your job. And sometimes you find the answers to questions that should never be asked. Or you find out what happens to people who ask them.
Hold it there, kitty cat.
Mainstream conspiracy film, where it once was a record of triumph against corruption and abuse of power, or a call to arms against rising public fears, is now drowned out by conspiracy culture, an umbrella term I use to encompass the post-truth condition, paranoia, and partisan hostility that has infiltrated politics, entertainment, and the public sphere.
A lone law student has pieced together who did the killings. Now she has become a target.
The conspiracy films I refer to are specifically American mainstream films which indict abuse of power and the unseen threat of a powerful few against the powerless masses. At their height, conspiracy films portrayed the media as a watchdog for democracy, extolling the power of truth, with faith in its ability to create justice.
How do you know they'll print it?
They'll print it.
How do you know?
But since the early 2000s, these mainstream conspiracy films begin to lose that power, that political force, and this is largely due to a disconnect where modern behemothing presences have yet to be addressed, altruistic motivations of protagonists no longer align with modern cynicism, and that traditional mechanisms for justice are still being applied when they've proven impotent or compromised in real life.
You got any plans after this? You have a rather unique skill set. I'd be interested in offering you a job.
Work. For you.
It's not really as bad as it seems. It's all going to be done in any case. You might as well be on the side that gets you well paid for your efforts.
And what side are you on?
There are no sides. There's no Sunnis and Shiites. There's no Democrats and Republicans. There's only haves and have-nots.
I illustrate in detail how and why modern conspiracy films have become less politically forceful in my article, The Privatization of Justice, an American Conspiracy Film, which was published in the journal Film International last year. Today, rather, I will walk you through three components of conspiracy film: the protagonist, the behemoth, and mechanisms for justice, and I'll update them within contemporary conspiracy culture and identify new approaches for the genre in order for these films to regain their political force and remain relevant in the 21st century. In conspiracy film, the unseen threat is often conceived by or embodied in the form of a conspiratorial behemoth. In 2011, Donovan categorized these perpetrators in conspiracy film as big government, big business, and big science. But recently we've seen these forces merge. Big business joins big science, outpacing big government to form a new, distinctly 21st century behemoth fueled by the logic of surveillance capitalism, big technology.
King push, king pin.
Everything about us is encoded somewhere on a complex network of information.
Computers your life, aren't they?
Yes, perfect hiding place. Even as early as 1995, the conspiracy genre presented technology as a threat. But today, our enthusiasm and growing dependence on technology has left us vulnerable and caught unawares when the early promise of information technology took a darker turn. Digital tools, which were once utilized as forces for revolution, accessibility, and change, are now primed for surveillance and social control, straining our traditional relationships to truth, power, and privacy, the fodder of conspiracy thrillers. This is why modern conspiracy behemoths must be many-headed monsters, with complex and systemic threats ranging from singular figureheads to pawns acting out in self-preservation. And they must incorporate big technology and acknowledge it as a double-edged sword.
An innocent bystander.
Why are they after me?
2 targets, rooftop.
You have something they want! I don't have anything!
Something's wrong, something big. They know I'm onto it and they try to kill me.
Who's they?
I can't tell you.
We are dead.
Where being thrown into a position of great danger coupled with great moral opportunity would not be welcomed by most, traditional conspiracy protagonists often are, and often show commitments to truth, justice, and morality which they believably risk their lives for. But characters who are inherently good, and who are never tempted to compromise their morals or succumb to corruption, no longer align with what modern audiences have learned in real life and in the movies. That when the world becomes too challenging, we ought not to fight outward, but rather focus inward and attempt to make sense of something we can control: ourselves. Rather than preach perfection to an audience, corruption of the protagonist is a technique which acknowledges that selfish decisions are understandable and expected in the 21st century by accepting private-facing motivations like self-preservation and self-discovery. We relate to this, and so we will relate to selfish conspiracy protagonists more so than those who exhibit blind heroism. But this selfishness must be forfeited if the narrative is to claim any sense of modern morality. Emergence of the Inner Voice is this moment where the protagonist's motives switch. They see past themselves and act for the greater good.
With the rise of Donald Trump, Fox did become a destructive propaganda machine.
CNN was not always nakedly partisan. It used to be a news network. It didn't always function as it does now as a political campaign.
One aspect of conspiracy culture is societal polarization, which poses a distinct challenge where liberal conspiracy narratives don't draw in conservative audiences, or vice versa, and so many may only be preaching to the choir when it comes to pointing out one side's perceived injustices. Representation seeks to address this by showing people who are alike and different on both sides of the issue. Casting ought to be representative of the communities characters belong to, and not feed dated, irrelevant stereotypes. I also suggest drawing away from messiah characters and the hero syndrome with utility of the team.
That felt good the other day, right?
Yes.
It's good, man. It's like I've known y'all my whole life, you know? Don't forget that, okay? Remember each other's faces.
Modern conspiracy protagonists won't have to single-handedly save the world, but will utilize the help, skills, and support of a team to combat the many-headed monster.
This guy in Vermont, what's he gonna do when you don't show up?
Probably call. Very soon now.
Call her, or do I have to worry about him showing up here?
You're not entitled to personal questions. That gun gives you the right to rough me up. It doesn't give you the right to ask me.
Rough you up? Have I roughed you up?
Yes! What are you doing in my house? Going through all my stuff.
Have I raped you?
The night is young.
You don't believe anything I've said, do you?
For conspiracy films, the ability to decide who to trust is crucial when it comes to implementing justice and generating political force on screen. For the last 50 years, conspiracy films consistently employed the genre's 3 pillars of justice to address the threat of the conspiracy. However, the recent introduction of vigilantism as a resolution in modern conspiracy films reflects an erosion of public trust in these traditional mechanisms for justice. The inclusion of big technology in real life and in cinematic narratives has also created new, presently underrepresented mechanisms for justice, but these require careful implementation due to their double-edged sword nature.
Welcome to Nerve, a game like Truth or Dare minus the truth.
Nerve is a techno-conspiracy thriller that, in portraying the synopticon of social media as the antagonist, posits the panopticon, an authoritarian symbol, as a modern digital mechanism for justice. Nerve's conclusion, which presents the removal of users' anonymity to create accountability, closely resembles an event in the midst of the Libyan uprising in 2011 when Gaddafi's regime used the country's mobile phone network to send text messages that ordered people to go back to work. In real life, the removal of anonymity by the government's unsolicited text warning is chilling. Yet, in a Hollywood movie, it's portrayed as a triumphant success. This duality of technology as a tool for positive disruptions to the status quo, or intrusive, menacing control, poses a distinct obstacle when it comes to proposing modern mechanisms for justice that are reliable within a polarized political climate. It's crucial then that modern conspiracy films embrace the reflexive nature of technological mechanisms for justice. Technology in itself is neutral. It is those who control it that determine whether it is used for great harm or great good.
I see him!
Conspiracy films' endings have long been the crucial moment where justice is served or injustice condemned. But for modern conspiracy narratives, this is precisely where they appear most weak. The permeation of big technology into our lives and politics has disrupted our relationship to justice in a way that modern conspiracy films have yet to really confront. The tendency of modern conspiracy films to have a compelling start, but an inadequate finish is characteristic of what Jared Cohen observes of technology. It will make revolutions start happening faster, but it'll make them harder to finish. Technology can't create leaders and cause institutions to appear. So where conspiracy films have lost their political force by focusing inward, perhaps once again we should look outward, beyond the system, to find powerful, compelling justice.
I'm just out here surviving.
Sorry to Bother You, which makes no attempt to grapple with big technology, does suggest that justice for a corrupt system might come from outside the system in its portrayal of a violent upheaval at its conclusion. If this is the case, modern conspiracy films must engage with conspiracy culture. They must incorporate the double-edged sword of big technology as a threat and an asset, and they must promote characters who are not heroes, but real, selfish, authentic people who find the courage to work together and do the right thing. It's not enough for modern conspiracy films to be reactionary and reflective anymore. Rather, they must push us forward, break boundaries, and inspire the movie-going public to imagine what modern relationships to truth, justice, and freedom can be.
When you're on tour, you let them know.